Recently, Father Donald Koss, a Franciscan priest with strong Holyoke roots, was appointed judicial vicar of the Ecclesiastical Tribunal of Vatican City. He visited the United States this past summer when Peggy Weber sat down with him. She tells us now of this priest's life and work.
One could say that the life of Father Donald Koss has been a series of saying yes to his superiors and God. The 77-year-old priest entered his community after graduating from the former St. Jerome High School, now Holyoke Catholic, in 1953. He studied in Maryland at St. Bonaventure's and at St. Hyacinth in Granby. Then he and another seminarian got a notice from their superior.
We were chosen to go to Rome, and that was it.
4 years later, he had a similar experience after his ordination in 1961.
He paid us a visit, and he says, one of you will be approached by the Minister General and asked to stay on. And that's all he told us and left.
Father Donald was chosen and given an important task: to help with the cause of now Saint Maximilian Kolbe.
He simply explained that he thought that the beatification of Maximilian Kolbe was imminent, and he wanted to give the postulator general some assistance, and I do know Polish. So he thought that I might be of help in preparing all the documents.
Father Donald, who speaks Polish, Latin, Spanish, Italian, and French, oh, and yes, English, says that the imminent beatification occurred 10 years later. In the meantime, he earned canon law degrees at the Lateran University and the Roman Rota. He recalls that he began his work in Rome on the day after the Second Vatican Council began. And then he was asked to be part of a study group to prepare a working text of an updated constitution for his Franciscan order. This led to his work as an assistant general for English-speaking countries for the Franciscans. And for about the past 2 decades, he has worked at the General Curia, Sancti Apostoli, and the Apostolic Penitentiaria. When speaking about his appointment with the tribunal, he said,
At 70 you're supposed to be out, but year by year they would request that I stay on, simply because I was acquainted with all the work to be done.
However, Father Donald was not just kept on because he knows his way around the office. In fact, Cardinal Angelo Camastri, the Archpriest of St. Peter's, approached him about his recent appointment.
He offered me a seat, and then he offered me an envelope. And the envelope, I opened it up there, and he told me about it. Envelope was the formal nomination of myself as judicial vicar of the Vatican Tribunal of the First Instance.
His reaction to the news was in keeping with Father Donald's humility and sense of humor.
And so I thought immediately, well, I guess the good Lord wants me to die here.
Since 1958, Father Donald has been working in Rome, but he has returned almost every summer.
Oh, I'm always glad to come home. I see family. I see a lot of very good friends.
He stays with his sister Stasha and visits with his brothers Chester and Joe and sister Jane. He helps out spiritually by saying Mass at the residence of the Franciscan Missionary Sisters of Assisi in Holyoke. When Father Donald talks about his life in Rome, he speaks of it glowingly and happily. He says he doesn't really have anything favored in that time. However, one can't help but recognize that his eyes light up when he talks about the election of a Polish Pope.
Oh, that was something else. Oh, my Lord. I was at my computer minding my own business. Our general was in, and he was above me. He called me down and he says, they elected a Polish Pope. I was just stunned. We immediately dashed down to watch it all on television.
Father Donald says he met Pope John Paul II a few times and has always been impressed.
What struck me was that this Polish Pope, he was just elected and he acted or carried himself about as if he had always been a pope. No one had to teach him anything.
He has seen several popes since he went to Rome in 1958, including the most recent.
Well, everybody loves Francis. The crowds have grown considerably. The people love him. He was sort of given a mandate, or at least he heard all the cardinals speaking during the conclave, that they wanted the Curia revamped. They wanted things to go more smoothly.
Father Donald has seen a lot in his more than 50 years in Rome. He said a lot has changed, but the faith has remained strong and secure.
I see the church as the rock of all ages, with the Pope who was promised stability and indefectibility by our Lord. So I see it in that aspect, thanking the good Lord that we have in the past century and now we have holy pontiffs, popes. One is more holy than the other one.
Father Donald says that through the years he has been happy to say yes to whatever has been asked of him.
I think it's the upbringing, your vow of poverty, chastity, and obedience.
And he says he is grateful for his vocation.
Well, I thank the good Lord for perseverance, and that I was able to do what I was asked to do.
Quite simply, Father Donald is glad he said yes to his life as a conventual Franciscan, and yes to his life of service in Rome. The local boy has done well, but he says it was all God's plan. For Real to Real, I'm Peggy Weber.